Om Agana Chimanandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Tonight I'd like to discuss sections of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita dealing with the theme of keeping a cool head in planning out your bhakti life. How to be strategic, how to be tactical, taking into account that the material energy is always throwing up impediments, but the spiritual energy, the internal potency, which is devotional service, is there to somehow keep us on track, trying to please Krishna's senses. So I first thought to cover the example of Raghunath Das before he became Raghunath Das Goswami. His situation, on the one hand, looks very admirable. Who could ask for anything more in terms of opulence, wealth, comfort, convenience, luxury? But he always wanted to get away from it all, run away from it all. Not just run away just for the sake of running away, but to join Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. But before we go there, I thought to quickly review the case of the Kurma Brahmana, whom Lord Chaitanya met while touring South India. Kurma Brahmana invited Lord Chaitanya to his home for lunch, and the Brahmana's whole family worshiped Lord Chaitanya, bathed his feet, and the whole family drank the water that washed Mahaprabhu's feet. And then Kurma Brahmana made a presentation. It seemed unexpected. My Lord, I cannot handle anymore the waves of materialistic life. Can't take it anymore. Take me with you. And what did Lord Chaitanya reply? Don't speak like this. You would think Lord Chaitanya would say what? Come on, let's go. Get out of the dark well. Come with me. Forget your family relations. No. He said, don't speak like this again. And he gave the instruction. Yade deko tare koho Krishna upadesh. Ama agya guru hoya taru edesh. Simply, wherever you go, whomever you meet, teach the science of Krishna. You can do that based at home. There's no need for you to throw everything upside down. Evidently, the home life of Kurma Brahmana was no obstacle. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya told him, well, why you want to drop it all suddenly and go running off? Stay at home and teach the science of Krishna to your family, to your neighbors, wherever you go, whomever you meet. If you do this, Lord Chaitanya said, your home life will be no obstacle to your spiritual development. In fact, if you do this, you'll be with me again. Actually, if you do this, I'll always be with you. So this is a hint of Lord Chaitanya's magnanimity. He's not saying just stay at home and be in Maya. He's saying use your home as a base for propagating bhakti. Be an example of bhakti. In that way, your home life will not be an obstacle to your spiritual life. And as we said, that's when Lord Chaitanya gave his famous order, which Srila Prabhupada always explained is the same as Krishna's order in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Abandon all your conceptions of what you think is dharma, Krishna tells Arjuna, and just do what I say. And of course, by aiming his instruction at Arjuna, Krishna is speaking to everyone in all times and all places. Sometimes scholars of religion like to tie everything to context of when something was spoken. What's the historicity? What's going on at that time? Then you can understand the words spoken. Yes, Bhagavad Gita was spoken in the middle of the battlefield, a struggle between two factions of the same overall family, extended family. But what did Krishna say in 4th chapter? I've spoken this Bhagavad Gita before. Millions upon millions upon millions of years ago. Vivaswamanave praha, manavik-svakave pravit. I spoke it to the chief executive of the sun planet. So how are you going to understand that historical context? Right then and there, Krishna is destroying any conception that the universe is empty except for Earth, empty of life. So by speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Krishna has uplifted everyone in all times and all places. So at the end of Bhagavad Gita, his order is for everyone in all times and all places. Just give up your conceptions, take my plan, shut down your plan-making factory, take my plan. I'll take care of all your karmic reactions, which is a huge offer. Any intelligent person should be concerned about karmic reactions. As you know, this life that you're experiencing now is a product of karmic reactions. And during this life, we've piled up karmic reactions for the future to experience. So when Krishna says, I'll take care of all that, Ma Shuchaha, don't worry, this is quite an astronomical offer. But Srila Prabhupada would always explain that Lord Chaitanya, Krishna comes as Lord Chaitanya and says the same thing. Wherever you go, whomever you meet, teach the science of Krishna. On my order. That's the same as Krishna saying, surrender to me. So the more we carry out the order of Lord Chaitanya, just as he gave to Kurma Brahmana, the more we are surrendered to Krishna. So the Brahmana was all ready to pack it up. I'm out of here. Goodbye, family. Of course, the general Vedic injunction is Pancha Sorvam Vanam Vrajet. When you reach 50 years old, assuming you've already spent 25 years in family life, when you're 50, time to retire from active family affairs. Srila Prabhupada explained that the age of 50, in terms of the ordinary, the normal Vedic chronology, especially when girls would marry and have children at the age of 12. By 50, you've done your dash. The man was generally around 25, so he put in 25 years. So as Srila Prabhupada explained, 50 years old, according to that classic Vedic system, 50 years old means yellow light, letting you know, red light's coming. Who thinks like that these days? Think, oh, 50 years old, let me go on working till let me be president until I'm 80. When I finally retire at the age of 80, then it's time to play golf night and day. Of course, these are not Vedic times. In case you've noticed, we don't live in Vedic culture. But it's very good to know what is the standard. When you view all the insanity of today, at least, although it's not, we can't just apply Vedic mores and traditions, at least you can understand what a real human civilization is like. So, the Kurma Brahmana wanted out, but Lord Chaitanya told him, stay. If you act according to my order, your home life and responsibilities will not obstruct your spiritual development. So let's go to Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 16, entitled The Lord's Attempt to Go to Vrindavan. And we're going to hear about Raghunath Das. His father and uncle, Hiranya Majumdar and Govardhan Majumdar, were so wealthy. They were, according to today's standards, they were like the billionaires of Navadvip. And all the brahmanas in the Navadvip region depended on those two brothers for charity, which they gave profusely. Lord Chaitanya Charitamrita says, knew about them. Haridas Thakur would visit their home and do home programs there. And Raghunath Das, their son, as a child, would associate with Haridas Thakur. So you would think, what a family. Untold wealth, as well as spiritual development. Vaishnavas. Yet, Raghunath Das is trying to run away. The more you understand how wealthy his home was, the billionaire status. And it's not that his parents and his uncle were simply fabulously rich. They were also devotees. It would seem that the situation is such that who would want to ever leave it? You've got the material, you've got the spiritual. But Raghunath Das had other ideas in mind. He always wanted to run off to be with Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. Run off and accept the life of a mendicant. So Lord Chaitanya handled his situation, Raghunath Das' situation, in a very interesting way. But let's begin text 222. Raghunath Das was the son of Govardhan Majumdar. From childhood, he was uninterested in material enjoyment. So now we're talking about after Lord Chaitanya has taken sannyas and he's returned to Shantipur. That's the place of Advaita Acharya. So Raghunath Das met him there. When Raghunath Das went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he fell at the Lord's lotus feet in ecstatic love. Do you ever wonder what's that all about? What's ecstatic love about? People think, I know what love is. Love is someone making me feel good, making me feel wanted. Being around when I want the person around, not being around when I don't want the person to be around. Love. But ecstatic love. What is this? You could never think of saying to your near and dear one, you give me ecstatic love. It's out of this world, ecstatic love. And yes, that's what Chaitanya Charitamrita is all about. Of course, in this day and age, the darkness of age of Kali, the age of Kali, if we can simply have some commitment, whatever our ashram is, some commitment and steadiness, that would be glorious. Responsibility. And Lord Chaitanya is going to touch upon that, but in a very special way in his instruction to Raghunath Das. But right now, Raghunath Das has fallen at Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet in ecstatic love, and Mahaprabhu is going to show him mercy by touching him with his feet. We've discussed about Raghunath Das's father and how the father was engaged in the service of Advaita Acharya. And Advaita Acharya would give Raghunath Das, as a little boy, remnants of food left by Mahaprabhu. So in Shantipur, Raghunath Das engaged in personal service to Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. So then Lord Chaitanya returns. He goes from Shantipur to Jagannath Puri. And Raghunath Das returns home to his untold opulence. But upon returning home, he was just mad with ecstatic love. What's going on? So what was he doing now? Again and again, he would run away from home, trying to get to Jagannath Puri. You would think, well, he's got untold opulence. He's got the home life of a billionaire. Why is he trying to run away? Or yes, nothing compares to the ecstatic love at Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. He should run away. Depends on what your outlook is. Or you're probably thinking there should be a compromise. He should spend some time at home and some time in Jagannath Puri. Spend some time with the money and luxury and some time in Jagannath Puri. So he used to run away from home, Chaitanya Charitamrita tells us, again and again to go to Jagannath Puri, but his father kept capturing him and bringing him back. That's what happens when you have a billionaire father. He's got unlimited assistants, employees, and they always track Raghunath Das down as he was on, because, there are no airplanes and no trains back then. You have to go by road or path. And so, as soon as the father noticed Raghunath Das is missing at home, he'd send out a whole legion of employees, track him down, try this way, that way, that way, that way. And they'd always capture him, drag him back. Listen to what his father had arranged at home. There was no, what do you call it, CCTV? I think even these days, mothers use that for their their little infants, yes? But there was none of that back then. His father had 5 watchmen guard him day and night. And 4 personal servants were employed to look after his comfort. And 2 brahmanas were employed to cook for him. He had it made. Why does he keep trying to run away? 5 watchmen? He had 4 personal servants? What are you thinking? Just stay at home. Stay at home. Be Krishna conscious at home. You got the good life. More than the good life. You're living on high. So Kaviraj Goswami tells us, in this way, 11 people were incessantly keeping Raghunath Das under control. Thus he could not go to Jagannath Puri, and because of this he was very unhappy. So Raghunath Das heard that Mahaprabhu had arrived at Shantipur. So Raghunath Das requested his father. Remember, his father, although like a billionaire, was also a devotee, using his home to host gatherings with Haridas Thakur, he would serve Advaita Acharya. So Raghunath Das, his son, asked his father, please give me permission to go see the lotus feet of the Lord. And then he adds something. If you do not, my life will not remain within this body. What is a parent supposed to do hearing something like that? If you don't let me do what I want, I'm going to die. Hearing this request, Raghunath Das's father agreed. But there's always something added. He agreed, but he said, yes, you go with many servants and many materials, much paraphernalia, and then you can go and see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and return home soon. So for 7 days, Raghunath Das associated with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shantipur. All the time during those days and nights, the thought was going through his mind. How shall I be able to get free from the hands of the watchmen? How shall I be able to go with Mahaprabhu to Jagannath Puri? He had a one-track mind. What was Mahaprabhu's response? Lord Chaitanya is omniscient, so he could understand Raghunath Das's mind. He instructed him in perhaps a way that you would find surprising. He said, be patient and return home. Don't be a crazy fellow. Sooner or later, you'll be able to cross the ocean of material existence. Don't be a crazy fellow. Be patient and return home. Is that what you would expect Mahaprabhu to say? Someone who's, Raghunath Das is overwhelmed with ecstatic love. He wants to be with Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. He doesn't care about all his billionaire opulence. But Lord Chaitanya tells him, be patient, return home. Don't be a crazy fellow. Sooner or later, by and by, you'll be able to cross the ocean of material existence. In this way, Lord Chaitanya is indicating bhakti requires intelligent application. Now, he's not, as we're going to hear, telling Raghunath Das, go home and just forget bhakti and just get into your material life. No, he's not saying that. He's explaining to Raghunath Das, you just got to be strategic, because Raghunath Das kept trying to run away. Like every day he would run away. Parents, what do you think of that? You have a child, your son every day tries to run away from home, you'd be totally upset. What to do? What to do? Every day he's trying to run away. Every day. Even though he had 5 watchmen guarding him, 4 personal servants, he still tried to run away. So let's hear what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport to the verse where Lord Chaitanya says, "Be patient and return home, don't be a crazy fellow." Purport. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Samashrita ye parapallava plavam mahadpadam punya yaso mararehe bhavam buddhya vatsapadam param padam yadvipadam natesham. This material world is just like a big ocean. It begins with Brahmalok and extends to Patalalok, and there are many planets or islands in this ocean. Not knowing about devotional service, the living entity wanders about this ocean, just as a man tries to swim to reach the shore. Our struggle for existence is similar to this. Everyone is trying to get out of the ocean of material existence. One cannot immediately reach the coast, but if one endeavors, he can cross the ocean by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. One may be very eager to cross this ocean, but he cannot attain success by acting like a madman. He must swim over the ocean very patiently and intelligently, under the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or his representative. Then, one day, he will reach the shore and return home, back to Godhead. So if someone drops you in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and says, swim for the shore, you're never going to make it. But by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, you can actually make it to the shore. So Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing here in the purport. You may be eager to cross this ocean, but you have to be strategic and intelligent. I often explain, and I'll probably say it again Sunday at the initiation ceremony, that bhakti is a lifetime career. It's not just a phase you're going through. Sometimes, unfortunately, devotees take the initiation vows, and then a few years later they say, yeah, I meant it when I said it, but it was just a phase I was going through. I was young. I remember when I began my bhakti life, I didn't do things the way Raghunath Das was told by Lord Chaitanya. I couldn't. And looking back 52 years later, I can still see I couldn't have done it any other way. I just disappeared. And my father was very upset. Very. My mother was calm and motherly. She figured this is just a phase he's going through. It'll last for a couple of years. He'll be back. Of course, the phase has lasted for 52 years. So bhakti is not a phase. It is our eternal lifestyle, our eternal occupation. If someone asks you, what's your job? Your foremost job is pleasing Krishna's senses. Whatever your occupation is, that's to support your real job. So again, one may be very eager to cross this ocean, but he cannot attain success by acting like a madman. You need guidance, in other words. He must swim over the ocean very patiently and intelligently under the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or his representative. So it's like I was talking with James today, saying, well, what's your plan for your bhakti lifestyle? And he told me, you don't mind me repeating, right? He gave his permission. He said, well, I'm just taking it one day at a time, and we'll see how it works out. And I said, okay, that's good for a while. It's good for now, but at some point, if you're serious about bhakti, you have to think, how are you going to make your journey back to Krishna? How are you going to live your life so that your spiritual development is sustainable? Not that you become a shooting star. Or as my mother hoped for, just a phase you're going through. How to, with patience and intelligence, have a lifestyle that will allow you to cross the ocean of material existence and reach the shore. So that's what Lord Chaitanya is emphasizing. Because as I said, ordinarily you'd think Raghunath Das is running away to join Lord Chaitanya. Come on, come on. No. Be patient and return home. Now bear in mind that later Raghunath Das, as Raghunath Das Goswami, is going to become the standard for renunciation. His renunciation is described as, when he becomes Raghunath Das Goswami, as like the lines in stone, unbreakable, so austere. Yet he's the one who in his younger years, Lord Chaitanya is saying, go back home, be patient. So we can't go to one extreme or the other. We have to try to understand how best to have a Krishna conscious life. That can be different for different persons. Just like Lord Chaitanya told the Kurma Brahmana, stay at home. Make your home your bhakti base. But you're going to see that although Lord Chaitanya tells Raghunath Das, be patient, don't act like a crazy person, go home, he's also going to explain to him, as we'll find out, your time will come, the right moment will come when you can run away and no one will catch you. So what else did Lord Chaitanya say? You should not make yourself a show bottle devotee and become a false renunciant. For the time being, we're going to like this one, for the time being, enjoy the material world. Wow. Okay. That's it, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. But you have to hear the other part. For the time being, enjoy the material world in a befitting way and do not become attached to it. Huh? Don't make yourself a show bottle devotee who externally shows, oh, I'm beyond all luxuries, beyond all wealth, and you take up austerities just to show off. So Lord Chaitanya is telling him, just cool it, chill. You're born in such huge opulence. Okay, stay in it. But internally, your consciousness is situated elsewhere. And in that way, you won't become attached to the externalities. So in the purport, we hear about Marketa Vairagya, false renunciation, and how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, this false renunciation is like monkey life. Monkeys are very austere. you've been to India, you've seen monkeys, right? They live in the trees. They don't have any clothes. They just eat the leaves on the trees and jump from one tree to the other. But they're very busy enjoying sense gratification with other monkeys, even though they have nothing, no possessions. So, in the purport, Prabhupada writes that this kind of renunciation, show bottle renunciation, with no spiritual substance, is Marketa Vairagya, the renunciation of a monkey. He writes, one cannot be really renounced until one actually becomes disgusted with material activity. What do you think? Disgusted with material activity. Sounds strong, doesn't it? When you think of what you've been disgusted with in your life. It sounds like you're walking on the sidewalk and all of a sudden there's garbage spread out on the sidewalk in front of you. Disgusting. Or your toilet won't flush and it overflows onto the bathroom floor. Disgusting. It happens during floods. So, one cannot be really renounced until one actually becomes disgusted with material activity and sees it as a stumbling block to spiritual advancement. So the thoughts can come to the mind, but you recognize this is an impediment, this is a stumbling block. And it's disgusting. And you pray to Krishna, when will my mind become transformed so that it thinks of you so spontaneously? I remember as a brand new devotee, one of the first, I think it was the third prayer I learned from Nectar Devotion. I know that young boys are attracted to young girls, and young girls are attracted to young boys. I'm simply praying to you, Krishna, that my mind may be attracted to you in the same spontaneous way. Very practical example. No one needs to teach a young boy or young girl about attraction, but it happens spontaneously. So the prayer by either Sanatana or Rupa Goswami is praying, oh Krishna, let me be spontaneously attracted to you. Or as Queen Kunti prays, just like the Ganga flows into the ocean, similarly may my mind always flow towards you, Krishna. So we continue to hear, renunciation should not be falgu, temporary, but should exist throughout one's life. And then he talks about smashana vairagya, cemetery renunciation. That when you go to a crematorium or a burial, you start thinking philosophically as the body is being burned in the crematorium or buried under the ground. You start thinking, so this is how it all ends. You start talking philosophically. Oh, life is like a dream. Comes and goes so quickly. Why am I working so hard day and night when this is the end? One survey, as I often explain, was done of persons in hospices with terminal illness. And there were 5 basic regrets that were common to all such persons. Of course, the sociology varies by country. Generally in the USA, supposedly a Christian country, at least for the next 10 years, Christianity is majority. Statisticians say that after the 10 years, that won't be the case. So anyway, in the USA, when someone's terminally ill, they generally blame God. Why did you let this happen to me? I'm your worshiper. I went to church most Sundays. I believed, and now look, how could this happen to me? So they blame God. In Australia, where this survey was done, people not so much into God, even superficially, they blame the government. We have universal health care. The poorest person in the country can have access to the topmost surgeon or topmost doctor. Everyone gets health care. And so what's wrong with the government? It's the government's fault that I have terminal illness. I pay my taxes. And look what's going on. I'm dying. So what are their top 5 regrets? Let's see if I can remember them all. I usually, at outreach programs, I recite them. Number 1, why did I work so hard all my life? And just to come to this end. Number 2, why didn't I allow myself to be more happy? Number 3, why didn't I keep up with my friends? I was moving here and there because of job or this or that or the other. That's the way it is these days. People don't stay in their same birthplace. How many of you are in your same birthplace? You were born where? So, where are you in the UK now? So, anyone else in their birthplace? Dita Pollick? Huh?
Close enough.
Oh, you're, what, 3 hours away? You're in your birthplace? Okay, there's one. I wish you were here, but one day. So why did I keep up with my friends and relatives? I allowed myself, as typical today, to be spread all over the place. What else? Why didn't I express myself more in emotions? Especially men have this hang up when in their dying days. Why didn't I say that I loved my son? I haven't told my wife I loved her for 30 years now. Why didn't I say it? And then the last one. Why didn't I be more of myself? Why was I always doing what everyone else thought of that I should do? So people regret like that at the time of death. And at the occasion of burials and crematoriums, they start thinking for a moment about life. Comes and goes so quickly. It's a mystery. What's the point in working so hard, struggling just to end like this? And then what happens when you drive away from the crematorium, drive away from the burial ground? Generally, there's this big feast, right? Take everyone's mind off the event. Feast with alcohol, and then you're back into it again. So that is described in the Bhagavatam as smashana vairagya, cemetery or crematorium renunciation. So we hear in the purport, such sentiments naturally arise in the mind of any man who goes to a crematorial ghat, burning ghat, that's in India. On the bank of a river, they'll have a place for burning bodies and then spreading the ashes on the water. Just like if you go to Mayapur Dham, it has a burning ghat. In India, it's often said that when someone passes away, they've taken shelter of the Ganga because their ashes will be spread over the Ganga. However, as soon as he returns from the cremation grounds, he again engages in material activity for sense enjoyment. This is called smarshana vairagya or markata vairagya, monkey renunciation. So throughout this purport, which is kind of long, we are also presented with how false renunciation is when you have things that could be used in Krishna's service and you don't. You reject them. Oh, material. When everything belongs to Krishna. What is yours to renounce in the first place? So whatever talent, skills, energies, resources you have, they belong to Krishna, and they're meant to be engaged in Krishna's service. So whatever talent, there's a time and a place for using that in Krishna's service. Whatever skills, whatever resources. But our problem is we think it's mine. I'm so talented, my skills, my abilities, or my wealth. Just like if I am walking with you and we pass in a bigger city, not around here, we pass like the Bank of America or a Chase Bank, and I see that bank, I renounce it. What would you say? You don't own the bank. But I renounce it. Similarly, the wealth we call our own, it's the same. It's not ours. Still, Krishna gives us credit for giving it to Krishna, renouncing it in devotional service. What is not ours. Just like when the traditional example, to worship the Ganga, you scoop out a palmful of Ganga water while you're in the river, and you offer it back to the Ganga. The water belongs to the Ganga, and it's going back to the Ganga, but you get credit for making the offering. How many of you have done that when you're in Mayapur? You've offered water in the Ganga when you're bathing. You didn't do that, Dina Palika. So, in other words, this is what's so fascinating about bhakti. The saw cuts both ways. You can be falsely renounced, and you can also renounce things in a false way. Things that could be used in Krishna's service that belong to Krishna, because everything about you belongs to Krishna, but you deny to use such things in the proper way. Or you pretend that you're beyond all attachment when actually you are, because you're not beyond all attachment. You are attached because you're not using whatever you have in Krishna's service. Using whatever you have in Krishna's service brings about detachment in that you're attached to Krishna. So this is the secret of Raghunath Das. And that's why Lord Chaitanya is telling him, go home, don't be a madman. What does he say? What does Mahaprabhu say? Within your heart, you should keep yourself very faithful, but externally, you may behave like an ordinary man. Thus Krishna will soon be very pleased and deliver you from the clutches of Maya. You can see me at Nilachana Jagannath Puri, when I return after visiting Vrindavan. By that time, you can think of some trick to escape. So there is a plan that gradually Raghunath Das will encounter a circumstance in which he can run away, but just not now. What's the use? Every day he runs away, and every day his father sends practically an army after him and scours the countryside and catches him. Every day. What would you do? You had such a child. What would you do? Every day your son runs off. You'd be in such anxiety. Oh, yesterday, what to do? Do something! What kind of father are you? Maximum anxiety. So Lord Chaitanya is telling him, you'll see me in the future in Nilachala. I'm going to go to Vrindavan, and then when I get back, by that time, you can think of some trick to escape. What kind of means you'll have to use at that time will be revealed by Krishna. If one has Krishna's mercy, no one can check him. So Lord Chaitanya is explaining, you have Krishna's mercy, just bide your time. Don't act in such a non-strategic way. Think carefully, deliberate. The right moment will come. And remember, what is Raghunath Das's home life like? He's not born in an atheistic family or family of karmic workers. His family, they're all devotees to such an extent that Haridas Thakur would come to their home. Advaita Acharya would be served by his father. So let's hear another purport. And then we'll take some questions. Although Srila Raghunath Das was very anxious to join Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord advised him to wait for the mercy of Lord Krishna. He recommended that Raghunath Das keep his Krishna consciousness firmly fixed in his heart while externally behaving like an ordinary man. This is a trick for everyone advanced in Krishna consciousness. One can live in society like an ordinary human being, but at the same time, one's own business should be to satisfy Krishna and spread his glories. A Krishna-conscious person should not be absorbed in material things, for his only business is the devotional service of the Lord. If one is engaged in this way, Krishna will certainly bestow his mercy. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised Raghunath Das, the same is repeated. This means that one must have no desire within his heart other than to serve Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya is not telling him, go home, get into material enjoyment. The right time will come when you'll give up material enjoyment. No. One must have no desire within his heart other than to serve Krishna while going about your ordinary affairs. On the basis of such a conviction, one can cultivate Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Lokiki vadiki papi yat kriya kriyate mune hari sevanukulaiva sakarya bhaktim ichchata. A devotee may act as an ordinary human being or as a strict follower of Vedic injunctions. In either case, everything he does is favorable for the advancement of devotional service because he is in Krishna consciousness. So that's Lord Chaitanya's instruction to Raghunath Das. And then Lord Chaitanya bade him farewell. And Raghunath Das returns home and does exactly what Mahaprabhu told him. He gave up all craziness and external pseudo-renunciation and engaged in his household duties without attachment. So what do you think the result was? He just got into material enjoyment, plunged deep, yeah. Just got to do what you got to do. No. He did his household duties very attentively, but in his heart, he was always thinking how to please Krishna. And he had no attachment to his external affairs. He did them as a duty. Another example given. It's hard to use this example these days. But the traditional example given is if the wife has a paramour, she has someone else. And so she does her household duties so nicely so the husband won't suspect. But in her heart, she's always thinking, when will I be with him? It's hard to use this example these days. The latest statistics, as I was saying in Mayapur this year, are that for persons over 30, 35% think an open marriage is fine. And for those under 30, over 50% think an open marriage is fine. So, everything is going topsy-turvy, upside down. So Raghunath Das is in the midst of untold opulence, and his parents are devotees, worshippers of the sadhus, the Vaishnavas. So Raghunath Das does what Lord Chaitanya said, just go through the motions with finesse, with ability. But in your heart, always think, when can I be with Krishna's devotees, Krishna's service? And Lord Chaitanya told him, as we heard, no, in time, the right moment will come. You'll see a way to make a trick and you'll get away. Because as we said, every day he had been running away. And his father's personal army would capture him, scour the countryside for him, search all the roads. They'd always catch him every day and drag him back. Now what's going on? What's the difference at home? When Raghunath Das's father and mother saw that their son was acting like a householder, they became very happy. Because of this, they slackened their guard. The 11 people who were guarding him became less strict in their vigilance. Remember, 5 watchmen, 4 personal servants, and 2 brahmanas. So as Raghunath Das seemed to be more into it in terms of household affairs, his parents reduced the number of guards. All right, any questions? Yes.
Thank you so much. It's an amazing class.
Amazing because you have returned.
I've read this in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but I've never thought about it in such a way like you discussed today.
Neither did I till I read it today.
I have a few questions. First one is, you mentioned that in order to give up something material, we need to become disgusted with it, and then it's easy. But in my experience, even disgusting things They can become attractive again because our senses sort of become hungry. You know, we can become satiated with something and disgusted. But then if we don't do it for a while, even bad things, they can become attractive again for our mind, if the mind is polluted. So what to do with that?
That's why
Yes.
every day we have to hear transcendental knowledge and fortify our intelligence, understand the nature of the material mind. It's a nonsense, it's a rascal, built up with contamination over many lifetimes. So every day you have to bathe the mind in hearing about Krishna, glorifying Krishna. And you get the experience that regardless of the pollution that may echo in your mind, by glorifying Krishna, by hearing about Krishna, it goes away.
So for the persons who don't have devotees with them, who don't practice Krishna consciousness, they don't really have like way out of it, of the circle.
That's why they should get such association. Another point I was telling James, I asked him, well, who's around you when if you go away from here, who's going to be around you? Who's going to inspire you? Who's going to help you glorify Krishna? Regardless of whether someone is here or there, they have to have a plan.
Can I ask them?
Making plans how to satisfy Krishna. Yes?
You mentioned false renunciation, also renouncing falsely, right? Even the good things and talents. I understand that there are easy things to offer to Krishna, like our singing or our ability to earn money. We can offer it without any
That's easy.
contradictions. Well, I think
Everyone's always coming to kirtan.
at least I think it's obvious that you can offer something to Krishna directly and you don't have to think about it. But I find
So
that
then do it.
But then there's a lot of qualities, like you said, everything is Krishna's, everything in us as well belongs to
Yes.
Krishna. There are some ambiguous things that I personally don't understand how to offer to Krishna,
Like
and
what?
I struggle with it. Okay, well, I like to be an actress, but somebody tells me
So-
always, oh, just make Krishna drama. But it's just not happening, and I have this desire, but I don't want to make it a material activity in my life that will distract me from Krishna consciousness.
So you and Jasenia should get together and make a drama. And Chris is the theater manager. Jasenia, who loves being an actress.
So everything can be offered. We shouldn't
Yes.
worry about it.
Yes. I'm disappointed I won't be able to see such a drama during this visit, unless they are working on something they haven't told me about. Yes, use that talent for Krishna's pleasure. It's not the only thing you can do, right? You're not a one-trick pony. You know that expression?
What about bad qualities? How can we offer them?
You don't have any. Like what, you get snappy?
I just can't share it in association of devotees, but there's plenty of bad qualities.
Engage in Krishna's service, glorify Krishna, and gradually night turns to day. But you have to keep up a daily hearing and chanting practice. Just when you think that you've got Maya conquered, she jumps you. You get an artificial sense of tranquility and peace. Now I'm okay. And then into your mind comes a blast from the past. So every day we have to hear and chant about Krishna. Accept this mind for what it is. Especially if you can see their lordships in the morning and gather together in the evening for hearing and chanting about Krishna. That was the great value. I know, practically speaking, it's not often possible due to devotees' work life, raising children, or raising children known as cows. But there was a point to Prabhupada's original design called the famous ISKCON sandwich. How many of you remember that? You remember, right? Sure. It went on during your time. There was the morning program and the evening program. That was the famous ISKCON sandwich. And in between the morning and evening, there was devotional service. I remember. No question of missing the morning program. Los Angeles Temple, New York Temple, temple room full of New York was at least 100 devotees. Los Angeles, 200 devotees. Yeah, Mangal Arti. And then the battle, just like now we have to struggle a bit getting everyone, reminding them about Mangal Arti. Right, Prabhus? I'm looking in the back. There was no question of missing Mangal Arti. I remember I went, in my youthful years before I went to the Soviet bloc, and my schedule turned upside down, I went from the time I was a brand new devotee for the next 5 years, I never missed a Mangal Arti. I wasn't even late for a Mangal Arti for 5 straight years. That was nothing unusual back then. I remember His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj worked as a marketing, what do you call them? Persons who are in charge of marketing. Marketing executive. So he would go, you would see him at the morning program, Mangal Arti, class, deity greeting, in his dhoti and kurta, and then he would put on his suit and tie and disappear, go to work, go to the office. That was normal. And then the evening program, the battleground was the evening program. No question of the morning program. The evening program. Why don't these householders come in the evening? The swamis would come in and give heavy lectures about the evening program. You don't go to the evening program, you're in Maya. No one talked about the morning program because everyone just took it for granted. Of course, ISKCON has changed since then. It's not an ashram-based society anymore. It's vastly a home-based society, a congregational society. There was practically very little congregation back in those 50 years ago. I remember talking to Badahari Prabhu, my godbrother, and I said, when you got married, and did you ever think, he got married back in 45 years ago, sometime at the end of the 70s or very early in the 80s. I said, did you ever think that there was a time when you wouldn't be full-time doing devotional service? He said, never. Was it that way for you too? Never thought, right? So things have changed. But I'm just bringing up, since you asked about how to deal with the mind. Back then, due to the nature of how the ISKCON society was functioning, there was the ISKCON sandwich. Morning program, work, serve during the day, do Sankirtan, whatever. do your BBT work, and then the evening program, Sundar Artik, 7 o'clock, hundreds of devotees. Then evening class from 7:30 to 8:30, 15 minutes first of Nectar of Devotion, and then 45 minutes of Bhagavad Gita. Finish at 8:30. Don't you dare go past 9 p.m. Because everyone had to crash out at 9 and get up for Mangal Arati. That was the way it was. So now, in the present circumstances, we have to do workarounds. We have to figure out how to fix the mind on Krishna amidst the way schedules are today. Persons have jobs, persons have children at home, persons have cows. What to do? So many different situations to juggle, but you always have to be sharp with your focus. At some or other, I need that Krishna saturation. You have to arrange that for yourself sometimes, because the circumstances are so variegated, you can't expect that one size fits all. But you have to make sure that there's a size that fits you. That's your individual responsibility. Anything else? Yes.
Srila Prabhupada comments in the last verse that we read that this is a trick for everyone advanced in Krishna consciousness. One can live in society like an ordinary human being, but at the same time one's own business should be to satisfy Krishna and spread his glories.
You're doing that. You have an engineering job. Who are you working for now?
For some company.
What kind of company? I know what kind of company?
It's a startup company.
Huh?
Startup company. Startup.
Doing what?
Building industrial equipment.
Building industrial equipment. Okay. So it sounds quite ordinary. But look what you're doing. You're always spreading Krishna's glories. Facilitating your wife for doing book distribution. Both of you are doing so many other services. What was this photo Parijata sent me today? Was it Dhruva? What was he doing? I saw him at the gate doing something. What was he doing?
Electrifying the gates. So you have remote gates.
Electrifying the gates, using his engineering knowledge to electrify the front gate. Everyone's so happy. Security in these crazy times. So you're using your electrical engineering skills for Krishna's pleasure. And you've used the Lakshmi you've earned from your job to come here for the summer and help out with the deity worship and so many services. It's the ideal life. Wonderful example.
Srila Prabhupada comments that one must have no other desire within his heart than to serve Krishna. It seems to be quite, I'm definitely not on that platform. It seems to be.
But you aspire for that platform, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now Dasya Prem is looking at you and he's thinking, I want to be like him.
I want to be like him.
His adventure hasn't begun yet. Let's see if he actually boards the ship. As they say, many a slip between the cup and the lip. Anything else? You have to, yes, Agadi Krishna, you have to speak up.
Krishna Maharaj. My question relates to the mysticism of renunciation and Krishna consciousness. So, in the first canto, there's a description of Gita sort of learning the mysticism of renunciation, where he merges his senses into the mind, then the mind into the intelligence, then the intelligence into the false ego, and then he achieves full separation from the false ego. So, when we take resources from Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna, and you offer it back to him. Is that what's happening internally? That we are gradually achieving, sort of we are amalgamating the working senses into the mind, into the intelligence.
What you're reading about that Dhritarashtra did is the Ashtanga Yoga system, the real Ashtanga Yoga system, not what they call it these days at commercial yoga centers, but the real Eightfold Path, which practically very few, if any, can do in this age of Kali. But as Lord Kapila describes in the third canto, just like the stomach acids digest food, similarly, devotional service dissolves the subtle body. So think about that. Yes.
So Lord Chaitanya told Raghunath Das to go back and engage in his material activities, kind of, I think, knowing at what level he was at and what he could handle.
Raghunath Das is eternally liberated soul, but he's going through all this to set an example.
So how do we know? Because one might hear these pastimes and say, okay, I can just engage in like full-on materialistic life, and yeah, I'll be thinking of Krishna. I'll be
Try it, see how long. Can you do it for a day?
yeah.
Have no other desire in your heart other than serving Krishna. Remember, you have to study this section before you take it out of context. What was Raghunath Das's home life like? His parents were devotees. His father was having, like Haridas Thakur, come over for programs. His father supported practically every Brahmana in the Navadvip region with charity. Still, it was luxurious life. Super luxurious, like a billionaire's life. We'll hear more about that tomorrow when we discuss the complaints of Raghunath Das's mother to the father, to her husband, like, why don't you do something about this? The father's going to say, oh, what can I do? What can I do? So he's not a Kali Yuga sense enjoyer. Just it was super opulence, super wealth, super luxury. He also had to get his father out of it and his uncle out of a jam with a Muslim official who got envious of Raghunath Das's father and uncle's wealth. So Raghunath Das used his intelligence to pacify the Muslim official. Just like Sanatana Goswami uses intelligence on the jailkeeper to get out of jail. So we'll talk about this tomorrow. Yes.
Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, and Raghunath Goswami, even before he became renunciant, ecstatic love. So what was the meaning or what was the purpose of this delay? Because
You have to ask Lord Chaitanya.
I can't ask him. I can ask only you.
So I've already told you that Lord Chaitanya told him, just wait. Be patient. The time will come.
But what is the reason if you?
Lord Chaitanya is a person. He has personal desires, personal ways of wanting things. Your question's implying that Lord Chaitanya is an impersonalist. If he says wait, he means wait. The time will come when you'll be with me in Jagannath Puri.
But that's exactly what I wanted to know. Why he wanted to delay? Because if you want something, there is some reason why we want something or we don't want something.
Lord Chaitanya said he's going to Vrindavan. When he comes back, Krishna will show a trick by which Raghunath Das can run away. But I'm not saying that it's simply because of that chronology. Wait till I come back from Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya wanted Raghunath Das to demonstrate something, real renunciation. Why did he tell the Kurma Brahmana, don't talk like that. Don't run off with me. Stay at home, preach, and in that way your home life will not obstruct your spiritual life. In this way, you'll be with me. You'll meet me again. Actually, in this way, you'll always be with me. What do you say about that?
Should I? That's it. I think maybe in his heart he wanted to be irresponsible, grihastha, and just run away, and Lord Chaitanya didn't want irresponsible.
Well, it's not. It's more than that. It's more than Lord Chaitanya telling the Kurma Brahmana, don't be an irresponsible grihastha. It was, in your home life, you can serve me. You can make your home a base for spreading Lord Chaitanya's mission. The real point is, wherever you go, whomever you meet, teach the science of Krishna. Now, sometimes there are circumstances or reasons why you can't do that at home. But that was not the case with the Kurma Brahmana. His whole family were devoted. They all drank the water that washed Lord Chaitanya's feet. There was no obstacles at home. There were no obstacles at home. And as far as Raghunath Das, he actually had no ordinary obstacles. It's not that his father was like my father, for example. Oh, no one's my son. What has he done? And he graduates from Yale University, and then the sensation of the family, and then, oh no, he joins a strange cult. That wasn't Raghunath Das's situation. His father was a wonderful devotee. Father's brother, Raghunath Das's uncle, wonderful devotee. The plot thickens, as we'll discuss Sunday, next time. I have to go in tomorrow and do my 48-hour family visit. I have to act like Raghunath Das. Yes. Dina Pollock.
Hare Krishna. You were posing a question for each of us to consider: how do we live our lives in such a way that our bhakti is sustainable? And I was wondering, what are some of the indicators of something sustainable or not?
As the purport says, you need the guidance of Lord Chaitanya or his representative. that makes it easy. I always explain, guidance is the wealth of the devotee. The more guidance you have, the more wealthy you are. Yes, Madhu Bandila.
Thank you, Shri. Thank you for the class. You were sharing this point about how for each devotee they need to find a system that works for them best, or to find a shoe that fits them correctly in their bhakti practice, so that they can have a stable hearing and chanting program.
Yes, because, it's, as I explained, the society, the ISKCON society is, at least for now, who can say what the future will bring, but at least for now, it's not ashram based. There are ashrams, but they are the minority, whereas back in the 70s, during the time of Bubrit Prabhu and me, the ashram was the vast majority, and the congregation was the tiny minority. Persons like Gopal Krishna Maharaj were a rarity. Go to the morning program and put on a suit and go to be a marketing executive. And he was often advised by devotees, drop your job, just move in the ashram, and Prabhupada refused. No, who told him to do that? But at the right time, Prabhupada told him, okay, now come to India, give up your job, come to India and take charge of the affairs there. But first, no. There's a right time for everything. Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for the class, Maharaj. I'm definitely inspired by the pastime of Raghunath Das and his deep sense of giving, and how he profusely gave to charity.
His father and his uncle did.
Oh. So I'm wondering how we translate that in modern context. It makes me think of, I have a friend who told me recently, he said, this year I'm really going to save $10,000. And I said, oh, okay, what are you going to do with it? And he said, I don't know, I just need a cushion. So for us in this Krishna consciousness movement, is there a specific instruction on what to do with the income we receive, but also the excess that we might have? Should we be in a mode of saving, or should we take the instruction of be patient, or is there a specific instruction for us?
The standard way, if you're able to apply that financially, because often persons are just battling to keep their nose above the water, But the standard transcendental way is demonstrated by Rupa Goswami. 50% for the service of Krishna, 25% for family, 25% for emergencies. That's the standard way as taught by Rupa Goswami. Often it's pointed out that unless you have your own business, it's hard to just take 50% of your income and give that. I was discussing this with some devotees who are organizing a program for encouraging business persons to make Krishna their business partner by 50% for Krishna, 50% for the businessmen. So unless you have your own business these days, it's kind of hard to give 50%. These devotees were saying 10%. If you work for someone, at least give 10%. But if you have your own business, Their idea is declare that Krishna is your partner, your business partner. So you split all the proceeds between Krishna and you. What do you think, Radhamani?
That's ideal.
Huh?
I think that's an ideal. I think it's hard to follow that.
You said you'll try to follow it, or it's hard to follow?
It's ideal to follow, but it's hard to follow.
They all have these glowing reports that as soon as we declared Krishna is the partner in the business, then you can be detached. Whether the money flows, pours down from the sky or doesn't, Krishna is the business partner. Krishna is the 50% shareholder. Then you can say whatever happens is up to Krishna. But because they're Vaishyas, these devotees, transcendental Vaishyas, they all have stories. Soon as I decided that Krishna is the 50% shareholder, the business boomed. But then they add, if it doesn't, still you can say Krishna's mercy. So next time we have a Zoom call with them, we'll put you on. All right.